Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. How does the BJP defend Narendra Modi's puppy analogy? That's the key subject I shall address today with the party's Deputy Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha, former Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. Mr. Prasad, let's start with Mr. Modi's Kutte ka bacha comment, to use his precise words. I accept that he wasn't comparing Indian Muslims to puppies, but can you accept that this was poor use of language?
Well, Mr. Karan Thapar, it is a copybook case of gross distortion. You are having the interview and I am also having. What did he say?
Kutte ka bacha.
And thereafter what he says? I am a chief minister or not, I am a human being. And if anything bad happens anywhere, I am sad. I think it is so clear.
Except that, Mr. Prasad, and you know this better than me, that kutte ka bacha is a terminology that would be offensive to Indians. And those were his precise words. This is why I put it to you. He should have chosen the phrase he used with greater discretion and care.
No, I would not. I'm sorry, I differ with you. What he said also, every creature is worthy of respect. He also clarified that when the moment. You know, who is opposing it? Let's be very honest. The people of the country, those who understand, are understanding it. And those who never tried to understand or always criticize Narendra Modi are trying to pick hole into it.
Actually, the people who are most upset are the Muslims who, in a sense, were being analogously compared to kutte ka bacha. And I put it to you that after 2002, Mr. Modi should have known that any metaphor, any analogy that he uses with reference to 2002 would be carefully scrutinized. He should have been on his guard. He wasn't, and that's carelessness.
I again differ with you. Not Muslims are unhappy. Their leaders are trying to provoke them to become unhappy. I am also watching TV since yesterday. Let me tell you, for the first time, Mr. Modi has also said, whether I am CM or not, I am a human being, and anything bad happens, it makes me sad.
You know, a second concern is this phrase was used by a man who hopes to be Prime Minister of India. If he makes this sort of mistake when he's Prime Minister, it will create a furor. And people therefore ask, if this is how loosely and carelessly he speaks, is he fit to be Prime Minister? He's created questions about himself.
You are being again grossly unfair to Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi will become the Prime Minister. He is popular. Why? Because of his integrity, because of his record of governance, because of his qualities of leadership. But as far as this is concerned, if you pick one word from here to there and don't see the context, when he has said anything wrong happening makes me sad, I think that also speaks volume that he felt sad.
What the point is that he actually used an analogy where he seemed to be comparing the Muslim community to a puppy on the street. Now, I know he meant no insult, but he's a politician talking about 2002, and he should have been very careful of the analogy. And the analogy is inept, to put it mildly. And I come back. Ineptness is not a great quality in a leader. It's not a quality you want in the next Prime Minister.
That is your reading, Karan Thapar, with which I respectfully disagree. I again say, Mr. Narendra Modi's words are very clear, and I am repeating for the third time. Anything wrong happens anywhere, I am a human being. I feel sad, whether I am Chief Minister or not.
And now look at the way he responded to the controversy he created. Instead of apologizing for any unintended offense, which practically anyone else in the world would have automatically done, he chose to defend himself, thus prolonging a problem rather than nipping it in the bud.
I think the response was not to the people who understood what he meant. The response was to those who were trying to distort. When he said, every creature is worshipped, is worthy of respect. It was to the likes of Congress people, left and Samajwadi people.
What about a message to the Muslim community, 150 million of his countrymen, to say, I meant no offense. If you've taken any, I apologize. This was simply a term of phrase, and maybe you didn't like it, and I apologize. He wouldn't have become smaller if he'd apologized. He'd have grown in stature. But he didn't have either the leadership or the sensitivity, leave aside the human qualities, to apologize.
I think that is grossly unfair, that you are questioning even his human qualities and leadership quality. But Karan Thapar, let me ask a question. You are insisting upon apology, and here is a person who has given the best record of governance in terms of growth even for Muslims. He is trusted by Muslims in his own state in terms of so many Muslims becoming councillors, so many Muslims joining the police forces, no riots in the last 10 years. and Congress record of riot.
How many
and
Muslims did you field as candidates for the assembly election in 2012?
The reply is very simple. It also depends upon winnability. But let me tell you one thing.
So there were no Muslims he trusts who would win?
No, no, no.
Isn't that what you're saying?
No, I'm sorry. There are more than 200 Muslim councillors in the host of municipalities.
And how many winning MLAs do you have in the BJP in Gujarat who are Muslims? How many did you field? Leave aside one.
No, no, but I think that is a very... let me ask you a question. How many Congress fielded there?
Let me come back to this.
No, Congress does their politics. How many Congress fielded there?
No, the point is that the Muslim community at the moment is not questioning Congress. The Muslim community is questioning Modi. And the point further is that you were trying to prove to me that he has the trust of the Muslims. Yes, and I'm saying to you in response that if he trusts them, why not field them?
Therefore, the point is, in terms of growth, in terms of educational opportunity, in terms of business prospects, in terms of job opportunity. And let me reply to... No, I have to raise this question. 24,000 villages of Gujarat are having three-phase line 24/7.
All right.
Did he ignore the Muslim villages?
Just a moment.
That's important.
Did
he ignore the Muslim schools? No.
If he had ignored either Muslim villages or schools, he'd have probably had cases filed against him in court for gross discrimination. But let's come back to the interview, because we're talking about the interview rather than Modi in general. I want to focus this discussion.
Yes, surely, surely.
I pointed out to you that a true leader, a truly sensitive human being would have apologized for unintended offense. He didn't. Worse still, his response and behavior after this casual comment has made people believe that he's arrogant. It's reminded them of his refusal to apologize for 2002. That doesn't stand a leader in good stead. Instead of making things better for himself, he's adding to the worst part of his image.
Let me give you two responses to it. As far as you saying about apology of 2002 is, you are trying to include that he is guilty. Let me tell you. 5 Supreme Court SIT chosen by the Supreme Court has repeatedly said there is no evidence against him. Point number 1.
I'll come to that in a moment's time. I'm just going to point out at this moment that that is not completely true, but carry on with your question, your answer.
Yes. Second point is very important. One is a phony apology. In case of Sikh massacre is very important.
What about a truthful and sincere apology that I sincerely regret what happened to the Muslims in my state?
No, please at least allow me to speak. This government, Congress government, bails out Sajjan Kumar, Jagdish Titler, court has to intervene in spite of a so-called apology. And here is a case in Gujarat, those who are guilty are being convicted.
Why should the worst of Congress behavior set the standard by which to judge the BJP?
Saying because this question is being raised by Congress people.
No, I'm simply saying something else. Here is a man who hopes to be Prime Minister of India. He has unintentionally, I accept that, given offense to Muslims. Why can't he say, look, I'm sorry for unintended offense? Instead, he tries to defend himself, suggests arrogance, and reminds people of the worst part of his image. My answer to you is that he's mishandled his whole response.
Well, where I'm differing with you, and let me say it very, very clearly, is your reading. Let me tell you the reading of the people who have a hatred against Mr. Modi. But the people in general are understanding that he has said as a human being, he felt very sad regardless whether he is Chief Minister or not.
You differ with my reading. Let me put to you the reading of your own colleague and spokesman Rajiv Pratap Rudy, who on television on Saturday said that this comment was proof of Mr. Modi's compassion and childlike heart. And I don't know where it proves his compassion, but it's certainly childlike, because only children make such lapses and only children refuse to apologize for them.
At least Rudy is certainly right as far as compassion part is concerned.
So you agree the childlike is an unfortunate admission of the truth by Mr. Rudy.
You are trying to put me against Rudy. That is grossly unfair. I have not seen his entire comment. There's only I'm hearing from you. But let me tell you one thing. Again I am saying, Mr. Modi clearly saying that if anything happens to any living creature, one feels sad, including him. That is an indication of his clear compassion. You are not willing to accept it, it's your problem. But people of the country are accepting it.
Well, we don't know, you say so, but the people of the country have to speak for themselves. Let's come to a second aspect of that controversial interview given to Reuters. Mr. Modi claims that the SIT appointed by the Supreme Court has given him, and I'm quoting, a thoroughly clean chit. It hasn't. He knows it hasn't, but he's misleading Reuters when he claims it has.
What he has said?
That the SIT has given him a thoroughly clean chit, and it hasn't.
It has.
Let me give you the true facts. because the true facts are critical. When the SIT gave the Supreme Court what Mr. Modi claims is a thoroughly clean chit, the Supreme Court immediately appointed an amicus curiae, Raju Ramachandran, to give an independent assessment. And Mr. Ramachandran's conclusion was that the allegations against Mr. Modi must be heard in open court and cannot be disposed of by way of any administrative or investigative clean chit. The SIT may have chosen to disagree with Mr. Ramachandran, but when they then submitted a second alleged clean chit to the magistrate in Ahmedabad, the magistrate immediately permitted Zakia Jafri to file a protest petition, which is being heard on a daily basis. Two things follow. One, that there are question marks about that alleged clean chit, and secondly, the last word hasn't been spoken. Mr. Modi knows all of that. He didn't admit it. He hid it from Reuters. I put it to you, he misled Reuters.
I am amazed by your reading. His words are very clear. The SIT appointed by Supreme Court gave me a clean chit. That fact you are not controverting. That is an order by the Supreme Court subsequently, appointing an amicus curiae, who is to be seen there, the court is seen.
And what did the amicus curiae conclude?
Let me tell you, amicus curiae has concluded what has not, will be explained in the court. But the Supreme Court appointed, let me be very clear about it. The Supreme Court appointed SIT, like Mr. Raghavan, an eminent CBI director, clearly found that there is no evidence against Mr. Modi.
The truth
That's what he has said.
The truth is that
therefore he has neither misled,
no.
He has neither suppressed fact. That is your reading.
The truth,
and that is, I'm sorry to say, grossly unfair. Mr. Modi only mentioned about SIT, which fact you also admit.
The truth is that Mr. Modi gave only part of the story. He knew the full part. He suppressed the full part because it didn't suit him to say it. A, because the full part would have questioned the half part he revealed. Secondly, the impression that would have emerged from the full part is very different to the one he wanted to give. So he misled. He did not reveal the full truth and knowingly withheld what he knew. Thus, I put it to you again, misleading Reuters.
I'm totally wrong. I'm saying you. Even
I accept you're totally wrong, but that's inadvertent.
No. What I'm simply saying, that even the magistrate has not accepted what Mr. Raju Ramchandran has said. Zakia Jafri is saying the same thing in Supreme Court, saying the same thing there. Therefore, if the matter is pending there, you cannot be judgmental. But the hard fact, Supreme Court appointed SIT, gave him a clean chit after investigation, including interrogation of Mr. Modi. The matter stands there.
Let me tell you a second reason why, in fact, I believe that Mr. Modi misled Reuters. Because when he claims that the Supreme Court appointed SIT gave him a clean chit, he's completely forgetting the plethora of comments made by the Supreme Court about him. Let me briefly recount them. In September 2003, the Supreme Court said that they had lost confidence in Narendra Modi's government. In April 2004, the Supreme Court compared him to Nehru. They said he was a modern-day Nehru who deliberately chose to look the other way as innocent women and helpless children burnt to death. In August 2004, the Supreme Court reopened 2,108 out of 4,256 cases. It changed all the prosecutors appointed by the Gujarat government and shifted at least two, Best Bakery and Bilkis, out of the state. And finally, just 17 months ago in February 2012, the Gujarat State High Court accused the Gujarat government of lack of attention and negligence and inaction in handling 2002 riots and said that they had failed to fulfill their responsibilities. None of that was revealed, and in this very clever way of suggesting that the SIT gave him a clean chit, he's withheld all of this. And again I say, he's misled.
Anything further?
No, that's it.
It is atrocious, least expected from a journalist of your stature. Those were observations from Nero to 2003, with which one have differences, ad hoc observations. Here is a case, just a minute please, you have spoken a lot, listen please carefully. Here is a case where after 2 months of hearing on all the SIT's plea, the Supreme Court did not disapprove the SIT finding. The Supreme Court did not say the SIT is wrong. The Supreme Court did not say he was sleeping when Rome was burning. Nothing like that. Therefore, you are completely wrong quoting ad hoc observations made 7 years ago today. That is, therefore, you are misleading. It is my charge against you.
Let me put this.
And you will not edit it. You are misleading. I'm sorry to say that.
I will not edit it.
Yes.
Every word that you're saying will go on air. Can I add one thing?
Please don't mislead.
Can
you would please don't mislead. Be very clear about it.
Can I
Secondly.
Can I pause you there
Yes.
and add one thing?
Yes.
One of those,
Yes.
the comment made about Nehru,
Yes.
Tista Setalvad tells me, and she's in fact at one point of time even shown me the judgment. It was part of a Supreme Court judgment or part of a Supreme Court written order. I don't have it with me, so I can't say it on authority.
Therefore,
but I know
you
that
have
Tista
to
will
cite
stand behind
Tista
it.
Setalvad
Yes.
only, okay?
Because I'm being honest.
Who is running a campaign against Narendra Modi?
No,
sorry.
that doesn't
sorry.
mean to say, no, the
She's
point
also
is,
suffering prosecution. Let's leave it
the
that.
point is, if it's part of a written order, it doesn't matter whether Tista says so or
I'm
else says
telling
so.
you, I'm telling you, if the Supreme Court has even given an order like that, that is Oshiod. You cannot give a finding like that when you have appointed SIT. I am willing to contest purely on law of that. Therefore, please don't mislead. I'm repeating.
Just a moment. That order is dated to 2004. The SIT was appointed a good 4 years later, so I don't think the appointment of the SIT in any way contradicts it. But
Therefore, how can the Supreme Court give a finding without SIT investigation?
Let me put it like this.
Don't put the words.
No.
I'm sorry. Don't mislead. You have misled enough.
Let me put it like this. It's not just the Supreme Court that is raising serious questions about Mr. Modi. In fact, your own party man, your sitting Chief Minister in Goa, Manohar Parrikar, on the 20th of June, talking to Walk the Talk, said, and I'm going to quote, that the 2002 riots were a clear-cut case of administrative failure. He said it was a bad example of governance. Your own party men at the very highest level believe that Narendra Modi failed and failed as Chief Minister.
Well, that may be his attitude, his comments. I think he has to explain. And in the same way, he also said Narendra Modi is the best leader to be projected, to say that also. But let me ask a question to you, Mr. Karan Thapar. Riots are now behind 10 years earlier. There is peace in Gujarat. There is stability, progress, development in Gujarat, including of minorities. And I regret to say that you are, in this interview, only harping upon riot. Should I question your motive, by the way, that you are also carrying an agenda against Narendra Modi? Be very honest. Come on.
You have a right.
No Muslims in Gujarat are having a problem. Thrice he have been elected. You are raking up the issue of 10 years ago. Is it fair on your part?
I am simply,
come on, look to future Karan.
I am simply...
Look to future Karan.
If you're suggesting, bear in mind that he could be Prime Minister and be scared of what I say about him today, that doesn't worry me one little bit.
I'm not saying that. I recognize you're right. I'm only reminding, be a little true journalist.
All right.
Look beyond.
I will. I'll take a break, I'll come back and I'll look beyond the riots. I want to raise with you fake encounters. Many people believe that under Narendra Modi, Gujarat has become the fake encounter state of India.
Yes.
That's in a moment's time. Don't go away. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an exclusive interview with the BJP's Deputy Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Ravi Shankar Prasad. Mr. Prasad, you want me to move away from 2002? I will. Let's come to fake encounters. Gujarat is considered the fake encounter state of India. Between 2002 and 2006, the Narendra Modi years, there were 22 fake encounters. And the Gujarat High Court has said that the Sohrabuddin Sheikh case is outright murder. How do you defend that?
Let me tell you. There have been thousands of encounters in UP, in Punjab, in Andhra Pradesh, in Maharashtra. Encounters are bad, many are right, okay? But have you seen CM of any state being prosecuted? Have you seen the head of Punjab police being prosecuted?
Is it not
have you seen the DGP Have you seen the DGP of Andhra Pradesh being prosecuted in the case of Maoist killing? Here is a case, I agree with you. A collusive charge sheet by the CBI of a targeted investigation.
Forgive me, you know on what basis the CBI in the Ishrat Jahan case was appointed? A request made by the Advocate General of the Gujarat government
I'm sorry.
on December the 1st, 2011 at the request of the government.
They had pleaded for SIT, all right.
And CBI, forgive me, the request made by the Advocate General.
CBI for a fair investigation.
No.
Not a targeted investigation.
And who is the CBI?
Not putting the IB.
Hang on.
The way they have sought to compromise national security.
The CBI in this instance is being supervised by the Gujarat High Court. So it's working under the direction of the Gujarat High Court. So when you say it's not fair, you're accusing the Gujarat High Court.
But let me tell you, investigation has to be fair, and you do not at all investigate the terrorist link of those killed.
In fact, the truth of the matter is
is it fair?
The truth
that
of the matter.
Lashkar-e-Taiba angle. Lashkar-e-Taiba owned up that they have jihadis.
The truth
the
of the
Pakistani terrorists have come, and you don't investigate at all.
Let me point this
out. The IB has a specific inputs.
The truth. Look, just a moment. Just a moment. Whether Ishrat Jahan was a terrorist, as you allege, or not, doesn't mean she can be killed in a fake encounter.
Surely.
Even but when terrorists have a right to due process.
I totally agree with you.
And that's what the Gujarat High Court has said.
I'm only saying when the CBI was investigating, the CBI was under an obligation to also investigate that angle.
That may
which
be
they have not.
Hang on a moment.
That is very important.
Just a moment. the instructions given to the CBI recently by the court was to say, don't worry about extraneous issues, stick to the simple point that even Ishrat Jahan, if you're alleged she's a terrorist, has a right to due
Mr.
process
Karan
and
Thapar,
cannot
I
be
am not
murdered.
encountered investigation and the antecedent investigation, both are linked. And there are 20 Supreme Court judgments when you undertake investigation, investigate all the aspects.
My last question, because we're running out of time.
Yes.
None of this has been conveyed in any sense to Reuters. Reuters didn't question about encounters, but my
Reuters interview never questioned about fake encounter. That is Karan Thapar's question.
I'm saying that in answering Reuters, and I'm coming back to it, Narendra Modi was knowingly economical with the truth. He used language that is unbefitting of a thoughtful future possible Prime Minister, and I put it to you that he's incriminated himself rather than helped himself.
Not the least, and let me tell you my parting words. Judge Narendra Modi by his record of governance, by his integrity, how people are happy, and why he is the most popular leader in so many surveys. The people of the country are beginning to trust. Maybe time has come for Karan Thapar to trust him too.
All right. A pleasure talking to you.